Mr. Speaker, this bill actually is undemocratic. Mr. Speaker, we came here based on democratics and based on popularity. And there is no human right or equality than democracy, than allowing every person, be it woman or man, to go and showcase his popularity in his own constituency. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, doing so, accepting this bill is against democratic principle and is undermining the fundamental human right of those ones that are popular in their own constituencies, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I am telling you this should be rejected, but I can support women if there is a political positions appointed, non-elected positions. That's understandable. And if we continue doing so, we are also undermining the political parties. The political parties should decide whether women should contest in their own platform or not. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, this should totally be rejected. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Bill in support, and I believe that, in this house, in this chamber, we have barely 14 members out of 360. In the Senate, we have only 4 members, 4 senators out of 109. Those numbers are abysmal. I think that there's a broad consensus, even outside of this chamber, that we need to do something about, gender equality and, diversity within, not only in the National Assembly, but in all political positions. But the issue of the how might be the question. And I want to appeal to this House that we allow for this bill to pass so that all those other issues, all those other concerns that you have can be addressed, within the public hearing and other avenues that we would have for other members of the public and stakeholders to be able to contribute meaningfully. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe that there's a broad consensus on the need for it, on the what of it. I believe, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, that there is a broad consensus around the fact that it is necessary about the what. The issue of the how can be addressed during public hearing on this bill, to have other stakeholders to be able to put heads together on how exactly we can be able to achieve this without unintended consequences of disenfranchising other people. Thank you.
This bill is a very sensitive bill. It's a bill, like you've said, that can affect us in different ways if we speak about it or against it or for it. But we need to also look at the integrity of this bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this bill speaks generally on equality. Equality, Mr. Speaker. All of us came here on the free, fair playing platform. Nobody came here on because of a man. We came here because we struggled to come here. Mr. Speaker, each of these our political parties, some give women their forms for free. Some give the women their form for half the price already. So, Mr. Speaker, if you are saying we should create extra seats here, that is going against the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria that fights for equality. I think we should argue this properly and know what we're talking about. Is it for electoral positions or is it for selective political positions? For electoral positions, Mr. Speaker, it's very difficult to say we should just create extra seats for them in the House. Why should we create that for men also in the House? Because it's very sensitive, Mr. Speaker. I think we should choose a day to speak about it and understand what we really want out of this bill. Not just pass it like just like that because we are here today, sir. Please let us pick a day because it's very sensitive. Whatever we do here today, our constituents and the world is watching, because the world is based on this gender equality basis. So would you please be careful what we're doing here today and make sure that we scrutinize this bill and choose a special day for it where we can sit down and argue it properly and come out with a very good document that will support all our arguments.
Some of you recognize that we have tried to support you. That is very comforting. Let me give you the floor to another new member. It's a new members' day today. So, Patrick Umar, PhD, over to you.
I rise to make the following comments as it relates to this bill that has been presented before this House. Mr. Speaker, sir, we may sound very emotional about this bill, but the reality is that when a bill is being considered before the House of Representatives, it must accord with the principles as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the law is that any law that is inconsistent to the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is to the extent of its inconsistency void. Mr. Speaker, if we make any attempt to make laws or any law that segregates in terms of gender, in terms of race, then we are in trouble. That law becomes inconsistent with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My position, sir, is that we support equality of every individual, of every citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but that we should oppose any law that challenges any provision of the Constitution. The Constitution is clear in terms of equality as it relates to gender, as it relates to race, and as it relates to religion. And on issues of law, emotions or sentiments must be played down. Mr. Speaker, I stand here as a responsible Nigerian who is married to a woman, and I know I love my wife. I stand here as a Nigerian who has children, amongst whom are females. But then we must play down these sentiments. We may be excited about the law today, but we must look at posterity. We must look at the ground norm of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is the Constitution. And the Constitution frowns at race, sex, or religion. Mr. Speaker, as I speak, I do not know of any law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that stops a woman from contesting election or winning a seat in the House of Representatives. I do not know of any law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that stops a woman from attaining any position.
Okay, our 2 p.m. is around the corner. Round up.
So, Your Excellency, with respect, as much as we will emphasize equality of men and women, which is positive in support of women, we should not allocate seats specifically to any sex, whether male or female.
Because Chief Billy Osawaru was stepped down twice for a woman. Chief Billy Osawaru moved a motion on this floor for a 35% affirmative action for women. My honorable members, we have to be very careful. It is very easy for us to get up here and with the sentiments, jump on the bandwagons, look good on TV, but again, we need to understand exactly what we are getting into. Because once this is done, it will be very difficult to be undone. Mr. Speaker, yes, it's a very nice bill, but the details of it, the devil is always in the detail. I think it would be nice for us as a house to look more into the details of this bill. Because if, for example, we want to talk about giving elective offices and you are not setting aside some of those seats for women, one, we are going against the Constitution, number one. Number two, I'm not sure there are too many men on the floor of this house today that will volunteer willingly for their seats to be given to women in the 11th Assembly. I'm not sure Mr. Deputy Speaker will allow us to set aside the seat of the Deputy Speaker for women going forward. So again, we must be very careful. In as much as we want our women to participate, as we speak today, I know a lot of parties, women they don't pay to take forms. That's already against men, but we are okay. I know women are more in Nigeria than men. How come the men still win elections? So, Mr. Speaker, if we must do this, we must look for better ways to get our women to participate, to run the race and win. But if we think, because we want to look good on TV and start this kind of process that we know going forward is going to be detrimental to the men folk. I don't think we should be discussing this at this moment. It's a very good bill, but I would suggest for us to go back and fine-tune the details in the way we want to set seats aside for our women. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
My Speaker, let me commend you for this bill. Your mother will be proud of you. Your wife will be proud of you. Let me start with Rivers State, Mr. Speaker. 2015, the then governor insisted that the whole local government must have vice chairman as women. Right now, Speaker, as I speak to you now, if you go to Rivers State, you have women as vice chairman in all the local government. Let us toll with that. Today, you have a deputy governor as a woman in Rivers State. You had that the previous governor, he had it, a woman as a deputy governor. What is wrong in giving women opportunity? Right, Mr. Speaker, I will even plead that I thought my colleague would say, let us extend this, that every deputy governor should be women. I will agree to that, Mr. Speaker. That is what is expected. I cannot stand here and tell you that we should not give women opportunity to participate in election. Let's give them a better opportunity. Right, Mr. Speaker, every one of us here who have beautiful wives and children at home, you want to see them here to speak and represent Nigeria. How will you feel today that you go back home and your son, your wife, your daughter don't have opportunity to speak in Nigeria and make laws? Right, Mr. Speaker, I have seen the reason why when you stand up you say you represent the people of Nigeria. Starting from Bende, you represent all Nigerians. You have shown that. I want to plead with my colleague. There is nothing wrong in giving women opportunity to participate in an election, a better opportunity. I say yes to this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
There is no how this gavel will go today, and I will not be seen as biased. There is no how it will go, and I will not be seen as biased. I wish that I was not the one presiding today. You know, so that is a predicament I have. But as you know, this is a process. It's not the final gavel on it today. We had it in Ninth Assembly. It passed through second reading. Public hearing was hard because Nigerians want you to harvest their opinion. That's the truth. Yeah, we speak for them, but issues like this, they want to bring the ideas on how to go about it so that you have a better understanding of the bill. So, on the basis of that, I think this bill should be stepped down. It's not being stepped down because of the merit of it, but because I'm conflicted. I'm the sponsor of this bill. I will want it to go ahead, but it will not look good. It will seem as if there's a conflict of interest. So I will ask Ghana on behalf of the chair to step this bill down until the day that I'm not presiding. That way we'll have justice seen to be done, not just being done. I think it's the fair thing.
Point of order.
Yes, there was.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, to provide for seats, reservations for women in the national and state houses of assembly, and other related matters. I stand before this esteemed House today to lead this debate on a pivotal constitutional alteration bill that is aimed at addressing a profound imbalance in our legislative houses and the underrepresentation of women in legislative houses at the national and subnational levels. Because of our time, Mr. Speaker, at this point in our nation, the principles of fairness and inclusivity cannot be overemphasized. Globally, Nigeria lags behind in women representation in parliament, among the lowest countries who have implemented this affirmative action. And we can see that in the countries of Rwanda, Andorra, and Kenya. And so, Mr. Speaker, I remember that many of the political parties, both the majority and minority parties, promised their constituents and electorates that not less than 35% of women will be involved in government. And this bill seeks, in fulfillment of that promise, to bring into parliament seats where that will be statutory for women, and so we'll have inclusivity and balance in our parliament. Honorable members, as we deliberate on this bill, let us recognize the historic opportunity before us to rectify decades of gender underrepresentation in our legislative houses. This alteration is not just about equity, but it's about harnessing the full potential of our nation by leveraging on the dispersed perspectives and talents of Nigerians, irrespective of gender. Let us rise above partisan divides and unite in support of this transformative alteration, which promises to empower women and strengthen the fabric of our nation. I urge you to lend your wholehearted support to the passage of this historic bill. Together, let us reaffirm our commitment to gender equality and lay the foundation for a future where every Nigerian, regardless of gender, has equal stake in shaping our nation's destiny. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Good people of Nigeria, reporters come from Yobe State. I rise not only to second this motion, but also to appeal to our men to see reasons why this bill should be accorded the necessary attention it deserves. I want to say that we all appreciate the fact that women constitute more than 65% of the total population, and most of our votes normally come from women. So I'm appealing, I'm not only supporting the bill, but I'm also appealing that you also should please help us and make this bill see the light of the day. Please do not kill it, because if you do, one day your own female child will also have the same setback. So I'm appealing that you please give this bill the necessary attention it deserves, because it's important. It's not taking your seat. We are just trying to see that we supplement your efforts. You are only giving us special seats. We are not taking your seats, the one that you are occupying. After all, that seat, you may not be there one day, it's somebody else that will be there. So please, give us the necessary attention and give us this support. I have said it earlier than this time that I don't know why you are too friendly in the afternoon. You are not too friendly in the afternoons to us women. Please, I'm appealing that this bill should see the light of the day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I also want to urge our honorable colleagues to lend their support on this bill so that women can be given a sense of belonging in the affairs of our beloved nation, Nigeria. The only maybe key issues I want to highlight is on the key amendments from the paper number C. Consequential amendment to section 71, 77, and 117 to ultimately establish special constituencies reserved exclusively for women. This is a necessity that we have to focus, because there should be additional constituencies, name it whatever, because the 360 constituencies are already delineated and are fully manned, and I believe even those 360 constituencies are open to women to also participate and be elected into the National Assembly. This should be an addition so that women can have a voice in the affairs of this beloved country. I so support the bill to be given the second reading.
Mr. Speaker, I rise this afternoon in order to second and also support this motion, this bill, that an act to alter the provisions of 1999 to provide for seat reservation for women in the National and State Assembly. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, it is cardinal that we understand and also highlight the importance of participation of women in democracy. Women constitute a very solid foundation for every home. We said charity begins at home, and if we want to succeed and also develop as a country, there is need for us to consider that this bill is not only critical, but the bill is not only critical, but it's timely.
Mr. Speaker, this bill is a very sensitive one. Mr. Speaker, we believe in equality. We believe in giving women their rights and their rightful place. While other people are advocating for 35 affirmative action for women, we believe that women should be given equal rights at every given point or opportunity, whether for electoral position or appointive position in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, we are at a point in this country where the people, our constituent Nigerians, are calling that we should cut down on the size of governance. And here we are talking about creating more opportunity, because we need to discuss this bill extensively. If we are giving opportunity to women, our wives, our mothers, our sisters, are we now going to take the opportunity of the right of men, or are we going to create extra seats adding to the 360 constituency in Nigeria, or the 109 senatorial zones in Nigeria, as well as the state constituencies at the State House of Assembly? These are issues that we need to look at. Mr. Speaker, my position today is that governments should look inward, and this parliament should support the government to making sure that the women are given equal rights and free rights of participating in an election and given equal opportunity. But saying that seats should be created specially for women is as good as saying that we should now begin to disenfranchise other male counterparts.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Jaha Ahmad Usman almost captured the plea I wanted to make. So there's no point going back to all the points he had already made. And that is the fact, the summary is the fact that this is a process. And we are only exercising the second part of presentation of bill, which is the second reading. But I'd like to plead that we all set aside any form of traditional beliefs that probably doesn't permit or allow the opposite sex to get to some levels, politically or otherwise. Let us also consider the fact that the issue of gender equality and representation lies at the heart of our constitutional democracy. The second and last point I want to make to us is the fact that, let us be emotional about this or swayed by the fact that the chief sponsor of this bill, Benjamin Okeze-Kalu, is presiding as we speak. I don't know whether it's by omission or commission, accident or design, but I'd like to ask that we respect that fact to the extent that let us allow this bill to be read or pass a second reading. There are other opportunities we will have to vent our emotions, to vent our resistance, and to vent our position against SOFO. That's my only plea.
In this bill, my first consideration is to ask what our function is. We are here to solve problems of our country through legislation. And so the other question is whether we have any deficiency in female representation. And I'm sure that the answer is clear. The answer is yes. Nigeria as a country is deficient if it comes to female representation. In fact, as I sat here, I went through countries in Africa and where we rank as a country in line with female representation. I want to tell you that Nigeria is the least country in Africa today if it comes to female representation. I can give you the figures as it is. And so if that is the case, it then means that as a parliament, we must take deliberate step to ensure that we remove our country from that ranking. Nigeria is first from the bottom. From what we have, Rwanda is 61.25% female representation in our parliament. Senegal is 46%, South Africa is 45%, Namibia is 44%, Mozambique is 43%, Cape Verde is 41%, Ethiopia is 41%, Burundi is 38%, United Republic of Tanzania is 37%, Cameroon 33%, Uganda 33%, Angola 33%, South Sudan 32%, Equatorial Guinea 31%, Niger 30%, Zimbabwe 30%, Guinea 29%, Mali 28%, Sierra Leone 28%, Benin 26%, Lesotho 26, Djibouti 26, Chad 25, Kenya 23, Seychelles 22, Malawi 20, Mauritius 20, Togo 19, Somalia 19, Madagascar 18, Burkina Faso 16, Zambia 14, right down. The last country is Nigeria at 3.91%. And so as parliamentarians, this is not a report that we should sleep over. I think that we must make deliberate effort. And if it is to provide special seat for women, yes, we can do that. But we'll look at our special circumstance. We'll look at our religion, we'll look at our tradition, and our belief in doing this. But we do not live as an island. We live in a global community. And so in the Committee of Nations, when we talk about inclusivity, how are we going to be looked at? And so the thing we need to work out, to me, is what do we do? There must be a sunset clause. It's not going to be an open-ended law. We must have a time frame to encourage the women in our country to meet up with the speed in other countries. And then aside that, we're talking about the second reading, whether this should pass for the second reading. A lot of our colleagues have suggested. We have experts. When we go to the public hearing, there are experts that will help us to fine-tune it. But whether we should allow this pass for second reading, I will plead with us that it is necessary that we make efforts to solve problems where we see them, and then allow the experts to fine-tune it, telling them that yes, while we want the women to catch up, it is just an encouragement. And perhaps a sunset clause will help us. If this will happen within a period of 10 years, or 2 terms, or 3 terms, or 4 terms, and thereafter we'll fall back to normalcy. And to discuss the issue of constitutionality or otherwise, an amendment of constitution cannot be in conflict with the constitution. This is a constitutional amendment. When it gets to that stage, it becomes part of the constitution if it has passed, and if it is passed into law. And so it will not be in conflict with the constitution. But for me, I think that as a parliament, we should look at the problems of our country and provide legislative solutions to the problems of our country. Women representation, representation for physically challenged persons are things that we need to look at and work outside the box to correct them. So I will plead urge us to support this bill for second reading and allow the professionals to do their work. Let it be that the parliament has actually done her job. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Democracy emanated from ancient Greek city-state, and it was derived from the 2 ancient Greek city-states what? Demos and Kratia. Demos meaning people, Kratia signifying rule of or by the people. In the small ancient Greek city-state then, people gather in a marketplace on market days regardless of their gender, regardless of their age, regardless of their complexion, and discuss the affairs of their community. And the resolution reached in that particular sitting is what is going to be implemented before the following market day. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want members to understand that any bill being presented before this House has a procedure. The first procedure is for the bill to be read the first time by the clerk of the House of Representatives. Then the bill is going to be represented to be read the second time and be subjected to discussions, debates, contributions, either negative or positive, for the bill before it's being referred to an appropriate committee to do the justice as far as the bill is concerned. Members have the opportunity, two opportunities, to either vote or against, for or against the bill in two places. One, in the public hearing domain, where members of the public, experts, specialists, resource persons across the world will be invited to make their submission and answer the question of how to create that particular seat or to create that particular constituency for women. People should understand that not all positions should be elective. We have House of Commons, we have House of Lords. It's a typical example of House of Lords. You have members that are non-elective members. So experts can tell us the how to create that, so that if we are convinced as members of the parliament, we can go for it. If we are not convinced, we have another privilege that is only for 360 members to either vote for or against the bill when the bill is going to be considered in a committee of the whole. And in that day, it's not going to be a voice in conclusion. Yes.
Are you director Niels?
Thank you.
Are you the new director Niels?
No, I'm not a director Niels.
You are protected, but round up.
Yes, what I'm trying to say, on that day, it's not going to be business as usual, where members will be requested to vote by their own voices. It's going to be an electronic voice where each vote will be counted. Constitutional consideration of reports is not by voice voting. Is by electronic voting, where if you are to vote aye, you vote aye. If you are to vote nay, you vote nay, and it's going to be recorded and displayed automatically on the screen for members to know the count. And from there, the table or the chair can report progress. So I don't want us to throw a baby with the bathwater for now. Why can't you allow this bill to go to the public? Members of the public make their contribution, and we still have the opportunity to equally make our contribution during public hearing and submit a position paper. So I call on our colleagues to understand we still have a procedure. We shouldn't throw a baby along with the bathwater.